would you define courage?
Oh, courage is the opposite of fear. First and foremost, it's getting out of that comfort zone and then stepping out of that comfort zone and getting uncomfortable. Like I was just mentioning to you before, courage takes like that next step, that next climb, that next level that you're ready to just try. And that's what courage is to me, is just doing your best. And if you fail, don't fail is not it's just feedback kind of, but it's also a learning opportunity. There's no such thing as failure to me. It's more like, okay, I see where I can maybe need a little bit of help. And that's where us coaches and you mentors and friends and family come in who can help you and uplift you and guide you the right.
Gina Kunadian is a courageous person. She's a sobriety coach and host of her podcast, Shine Within. As she says, she's living proof of an alcohol free wonder. In this podcast, Gina shares her story and her brave path past childhood trauma, drugs, and alcohol to create a joyful life of sobriety. Gina, welcome to Bump in the Road. If you would, tell us your story.
Oh, yes, Pat. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm so excited to speak with you today. My story, oh my gosh, how long is your podcast? Let's just say that. I'll keep it short and simple. So growing up, I didn't have a father. My father was murdered as when I was a baby. I think I was about 7 months old. I didn't have a father figure. So my mom, she didn't date anybody until maybe I was like 5 years old. And there was a man that came into our lives that maybe he had we thought he had good intentions, but he didn't. Unfortunately, I was molested as a child from the age of 6 to 12 years old. And she had stayed with him that long. She didn't know anything that was going on. Nobody knew anything. And I kept it all bottled up inside. And I had a lot of stomach issues when I was 8 years old. And we thought it was maybe nerves from school, could be, I was just a nervous Minerva child growing up. But they diagnosed me as having IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. I did not have IBS. All of that was the trauma that was created and caused
Yeah.
by this man, and it was all bottled up inside. So growing up in high school was the worst. I got into relationships that were extremely horrible, awful, awful. Um, where one, when I was 15, he was also 15. He was abusive, unfortunately, physically, mentally, emotionally, you name it, he was. He didn't hit me, let's say, but he did shake me up a couple of times, where then my mom saw bruises on my body, knew that she had to get a restraining order. I was lost as a child. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what love was. So in my senior year of high school, I did meet a guy completely opposite, very kind, but he introduced me to what's a rave culture, which is this underground house music, electronical dance music. Love the music, by the way. That's never changed. That's never going to change. That's always part of me. But it was all ages, but the drugs and there's no alcohol there, but the drug that they had all circling around that party was ecstasy. So mind you, I've never smoked a cigarette. I never drank a sip of alcohol. I've never have done anything. My first substance was ecstasy. And here I was trying to fit in, trying to belong to a group of people that was like-minded, like the music, like to have fun. But we were all lost, I thought, because we were all trying to numb the pain that we probably had by bringing in this love drug, that's what it was called, into the scene. And that's what I was kind of doing all the time until I turned 21. Turning 21, then what's next? Oh, alcohol. It's legal, right? So I can do alcohol. And so that's what I did. I was in the house scene, was no longer with that boyfriend, but wound up meeting my DJ husband in 2003. And he had that lifestyle of going out and partying, and so did I. And that's what we did. Unfortunately, that marriage did not work because when you get two unhealthy people together, it's not going to work. He was codependent and had a history of abusing methamphetamines. I had a history of trauma and didn't know what to do with my life. And so I would numb myself with substance, which was then alcohol. So that was part of my lifestyle, Pat. It came from being like social to habitual, then dependency, where I had to drink a fifth of vodka a day in order for me to function.
Wow.
Yes, a lot, right? That's too much. And so medically, I needed help, but I was in denial for such a long time. And our marriage was, cops were coming in and out. We already had a son who was already at that time, maybe 5 years old. And it got to a point where, in my delusional mind, because of me drinking so much, I had all of these thoughts in my head that he was cheating, that he was lying, that he was being mean because of the past that I've had with these men in my life,
Mhm.
that I felt like I couldn't trust him. And so what did I do? I said, "You're cheating on me. I'm going to throw all of your clothes outside." And so that's what I did. And he, good for him, by the way, said, "You know what? I'm not coming home. We're going to keep my son with my mom." Her name is Pat, by the way, my old mother-in-law. and and then we're not coming home. And so I was broken. I was such in despair. He left me. Good for him, though. I would have done the same thing. And I remember texting my friend. I was so depressed. I wasn't getting out of bed. I was just drinking a lot of red wine at that time in bed. And I was texting my friend, "You know what? I have this bottle of Ativan, excuse me, which was medication in order for me to control my anxiety and panic attacks, which was also another symptom of drinking, as those anxiety attacks. And I said, "I'm going to take whatever's left and just drink this bottle. I don't even care if I live or die." And so he took that very seriously. And thank goodness, because he then called my mom, who then called the ambulance, who then, I remember very vaguely, people coming inside the house, taking me off to the hospital. My doctor was there when I woke up, literally was there next to me, says, "We're so happy you're still with us." And I was like, kind of in and out. And I remember speaking to my doctor previously about going to an outpatient treatment facility where then I would get help with my anxiety, my depression, my anger issues. And those were the things I was going to work on. He didn't know anything about my drinking problem. Nobody did besides my husband at that time. I hid it very well. So I went ahead and did that outpatient program. First, I was inpatient, yes, because of the whole trying to harm myself. They wanted me inside for 3 days to be evaluated by the psychologist, said, "Hey, you're good to go." So I went to the outpatient. That I learned a lot of coping mechanisms when it comes to anxiety, depression, and also how to control my anger. And that's what I wound up doing, is just kind of meeting this group of women. Actually, we would pray together and we would be kind to, to each other and support each other. But still, Pat, no one knew about my alcohol problem besides myself and my husband at the time, which I didn't have any communication with for the obvious reasons. So one counselor came to me and she said, "Gina, do you happen to be using a substance like alcohol?" And I denied it. I said, "Nope. I don't have a problem with drinking. That's not an issue. I'm here for anger and anxiety." But I did have problems, because I remember that same year, November, Thanksgiving, 2014, my mom said, "We're going to go to your brother's house. We're going to have Thanksgiving." But normally I would have alcohol with me, like a Coca-Cola bottle or some type of bottle that I can hide it, right? And so I go there shaky, sick, and I felt like I was dying. And I said, "Mom, I really need to have some type of alcohol in me." She's like, "No way. You're not drinking nothing." I said, "I do. Otherwise, I don't know if I'm going to have a seizure, pass out. I don't even know if I can live." And that's when it became very serious. And that's the first time I admitted I was an alcoholic. And I was just like, "Okay, Gina, you need help." The next month, I checked myself into rehab. Checked myself into rehab 30 days. 30 days later, what did I do, Pat? You would think I learned my lesson by now. I went to the casino and drank alcohol, thinking, "I got this. I can do this on my own. This is no problem. If I did it for 30 days, I can do it on my own." No, I couldn't do it on my own. And then so after that, I got back into a relationship, which I had when I was in college, and I got pregnant. And so with this guy and I, we were friends for a long, long time since college, now we're in our 30s. We decided, since I prayed, let's try to work it out and move in together. Well, I wasn't drinking during my pregnancy. I wasn't drinking during my breastfeeding. But as soon as my baby got onto the bottle, I got back onto mine. And the pattern happened all over again. So here I am. relapsed once again, and it just got worse and worse. The behavior started coming back. The mistrust of him thinking he's doing things came back. All of these delusional thoughts came back, and he got to a point where he called the cops on me, and I was in jail because I was becoming physically abusive as well. And good for him. I was in jail, but I didn't learn my lesson. As soon as I got out of jail, I started drinking again. It wasn't until the moment of despair I remember it was 2017, and I was crying in my car. I already got my liquor from the liquor store in the parking lot. I was crying and I was just praying. I was like, you know what? God, if there's a God, because I was a spiritual religious at the time, I was like, please, I need help. I cannot do this on my own. I do not want to live like this anymore. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, I don't know if I was like, that God was mad at me or what, but I was in the hospital with pancreatitis with severe pain. And it was the moment that I was able to then just sit with myself and really did some self-examination. And that doctor there, I tell you, she came up to me. She said, "You are very sick. If you continue," she said, "Gina, if you continue drinking the way you are drinking, you will die within 10 years if you continue drinking this way." And I really was like taken away. I'm like, die? I said, well, yeah, I felt like I was dying there at the hospital at that time, but I really had to think about it and really think about the children that I have. I had two. And I'm like, you know what? What would it be like with them not having a mother in their lives? Because we only get one. And I was just drawn, I was taken back and I was just like, wow, no, I need to do this not only for myself, start to love myself, but I really need to do this for my family who do love me. And sure enough, I sat with myself, did some self examination. And that was the moment I'm like, I'm done with alcohol because I was detoxed there at the hospital. Perfect setting, by the way. And I was taken great care of, actually. And then I went home. There was a bottle of vodka, but what did I do this time, Pat? I went ahead and threw it away, and that was it. I changed my life. I had to change all my patterns and behaviors, and that's where I'm at now in my life.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, that is a heck of a story. You know, I wanna talk a little bit about what they call the stinking thinking, if you will.
yeah.
Um, how did you change your thought patterns? That's a hard thing to do.
Oh, it's a great question. So, I got myself a mentor. I was looking for more fitness. As soon as I became sober, I was like, I need to do something different for myself. And I want to go ahead and exercise. My friend said, hey, if you want to also do yoga, I know someone who can help you. But not only is she a yoga and fitness instructor, she also just put out a women's mentorship program for the mindset. So perfect timing for me, not only to start working out on my body, but start working on my mind. And I really had to just change my limiting beliefs, the way I talk to myself as well, and the stories that I would tell myself, and start to love myself as a human being, love be more compassionate and have more grace. And so that's what she taught me. And we went through all of these different practices, but she really helped me change my thought patterns.
What were some of the limiting beliefs that you had to change?
Oh my goodness. I didn't love myself. I'm not worthy. You're ugly. You're fat. I mean, any negative thing you can think about, I said that to myself. And I felt like I couldn't do it. I felt like I couldn't do it because I relapsed all those times. And what I really, really need to think about is the goal at the end. What was my end goal? My end goal was to go ahead and be sober. And that was always in the back of my head. So I really had all of these nasty things I would say to myself, but I started changing it. And then I started building more confidence by really visualizing who I wanted to become as a spiritual being, as a mother, as a well, now wife. I'm remarried now. I'm remarried now and I have a stepson. Love, oh, great family, by the way. I love everything now. And as I am as a woman who is compassionate to others as well. And how can I be kind and just set a great example to my children?
How when you look back and you tell your story, did you have to rewrite your story in order to move ahead?
So when it comes to rewriting my story, I don't have that shame and guilt that I used to when I first was becoming sober. right now I look back and I'm so grateful and I have gratitude, and that's how I have rewritten my story. As just writing it, also journaling it helps too.
Mhm.
When you're writing everything out that has happened to you, it's kind of like you're letting it go and then accepting it and then forgiving the people who have harmed you in the past, and just moving on from that and saying, okay, this is what shaped me to become who I am today, and I have to be grateful for these experiences. Otherwise, this wouldn't be me today.
Did you address the sexual abuse trauma at some point?
Oh, yes, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that happened in, I think I was 22 or 23 years old. And my mom had a family intervention because she saw my behavior change because I was drinking and doing narcotics and stuff, and I wasn't obeying her rules in the household. Of course not. And so we had a family intervention, and then they're asking me why. And I just finally said, the reason why I'm probably acting out like this is because I was molested between the time I was 6 to 12 years old. And everyone silenced and didn't know what to say. My mom then came to me and she asked me like some more questions. And then she said, well, do you want me to find him? I said, no, please. I said, I just got it out of my chest. That's all I wanted to say, is that this has had happened to me. This is probably why I am the black sheep of the family. I was the one who got the piercings, the tattoos. Nobody, because I have three older siblings, right? Nobody had that, just me. And I always felt like there was something always wrong with me. Why me? Me. But you know what? I was just happy that it came out, but it was never addressed afterward. To this day, it's not talked about. It's like kind of tucked under the rug again. And so, and that's okay. Maybe one day my mom and I will talk about it, but we really haven't spoken about it. And that's okay. I'm talking about it on podcasts all the time now. So it's not like it needs to be talked with her. She already knows what happened. And, I don't blame her whatsoever. She didn't know. I mean, she was just doing the best that she could with with conditions that were given to her growing up as well, what she knew and what she knows now. So I can't blame anybody.
That's so true. Most of us are in a position of just doing the best we can with where we are in our lives. And I think that if we can see that in others and in ourselves, we can find forgiveness, which is really powerful.
Yeah. It is so powerful to forgive. And I think that's the hardest thing. Someone had asked me, do you forgive the man that, molested you? And I said, yes, I do. I do. I'm going to have to. I mean, there's like 5 hacks I always say is like forgiveness, compassion, love, empathy, being kind, and forgiveness. So all of those is just part of our how we become who we truly are as a spiritual being. We're here to love and to forgive. And then when we have that, like, I mean, nothing can really break us anymore. You can't really break a person who's already been broken. So I don't know what to say.
That's a really interesting point. You can't break somebody who's been broken. I think that's true. I think we can break in different ways
Yeah.
throughout our lives, but I think that when you've been broken in a particular way and you work through it, you become very strong.
Mm. Yes. And because you're learning in the process, I feel like you're learning in the process and you're just growing. I think any hiccups, any bumps in the road that happen, they're all part of the growing process, and you learn. And then you can then help your children, who then will have, of course, they're going to have bumps in their roads. We all do, right?
I think part of the key, though, is being aware enough to learn. I think a lot of times, if we're not aware, we just repeat the behavior again and again until we wake up.
Yes, yes. And waking up is so important. I feel that once we have like woken up and then we actually learn, we're unstoppable. Because we won't make the same mistake anymore. At least I mean, I do. To go me wrong, I'm a human being here on the planet Earth. Of course, I'm going to be making some mistakes here, but you know what? I'm going to do it a little bit better this time. Just going to do it a little bit better.
I think that's all we can ask of ourselves, to do the best at a point in time And next time you do a little bit better maybe.
That's right. Just do a little bit better for sure.
Talk about, if you would, what you're doing now, because I think it's really impressive.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So what I'm doing now, I'm so excited to talk about it. So I get cold chills, goosebumps, you name it, because this is my purpose in life. All my pain that I've had turned into my purpose. And so I actually am an alcohol-free sobriety coach who helps driven women break through their alcohol dependency so that way they can have more energy, build more confidence, as well as have more clarity in their life so that way they can be unstoppable and be who they truly are as a spiritual being. Because I know that if I can do it and gone through what I've gone through and overcome what I've overcame, anyone can do it. Anybody can do it. And so right now I do coaching. I also do have a podcast as well called Shine Within, where I bring on fabulous women from all over the world who talk about, their story, what they've gone through, the mindset, also health and spirituality. And it's amazing because I feel like I give them their space to just be who they are and just to share what they've gone through in life. And I think it's very important that we share our story so that other people can go ahead and relate to it. And just so they know we're all a collective consciousness, all are one, and we're all here to love and help each other. And just to go through all the experiences, be okay if they're good or bad, go through all
Yeah.
of the experiences.
Well, and, on bad experiences, however you wanna define bad, that changes too over time, but, I always say you don't know hot until you know cold. You don't know
Right.
light till you know dark. I think you have to go through some pretty dark times sometimes in
Yes.
order to really be in the light and be happy and, see the world in an expansive, positive way. I don't think you can recognize that until you've had some tough times.
Right. Right. Yes. And you have to go through the darkness in order to see the light. And speaking about the darkness, can I just share a story with you real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just, like I told you, we got back from Hawaii, but we did this cave, underground lava tube cave, hiking. And I don't even know what you call it hiking, but it felt like hiking because I was like climbing up some stuff. And man, when it was dark, like you cannot see anything. We had those headlamps and everything. It was so dark. And then I'm like, I don't like this energy that's being pressed on me. It's so dark in there. And then once we got to the other side, and it was just so beautiful. And then my energy is shifted into this beautiful light. And then I was like, oh, thank goodness I gone through that darkness to see the light again because I did not like that darkness. But anyway, it was just a side story I thought I'd share with you.
What what is the role of spirit in your life, and how did you come to it? And how do you define it?
Oh my goodness. So spirit is, oh, I don't even know where to begin with this. I'm so attached to my spirit. So my spirit is my best friend. I feel like she guides me, whether you want to call it your higher consciousness, your Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it. I just call it my best friend because she's the one who's rooting for me, cheering me on, saying, keep going, Gina, you got this, you got this. And she's my inner guidance. Like I feel like I'm always being led. So like, hey, no, don't do that. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Maybe you should do this instead. I feel like I'm being led constantly. And so for me, I that's my guidance. Like, and I'm okay like hanging out by myself because my spirit is with me. I feel like, hey, let's go do something fun today. Let's go for a hike outside. And it's just so much fun. Like I tell my husband sometimes too. I say, hey, it's okay if we have some time alone. I'll be okay. Don't worry. I have my guidance with me. I'll be protected. It's okay. And he starts laughing, laughing. But that's what it is. And I get so much love and compassion and grace from my spirit. And it's like your higher version of yourself, the highest version of yourself, I would say, higher consciousness. And I just being led to all of these amazing things. Like, I never thought I would be guesting on podcasts. This is amazing being a guest on your podcast. And so, and just doing some fun things. Like, I think I have a talk that I'm going to be doing. I hate public speaking before, but obviously I am comfortable with it now. But all of these things that I'm being led to, and that I'm just like, you know what? I feel like I'm not ready for it, but my spirit is like, no, you're ready for it, Gina. You You can do this. I'm like, okay, let's go.
No one's ever ready for the next step.
I
You just
know.
have to dive in, and it's amazing what you can do.
Right. Right. You'd be surprised, give it a try. So, like I thought I would never go into that cave. I'm terrified of the dark. In enclosed places, and I never thought I would be going kayaking on the ocean, like, seasickness. But it was, all these different things, and then you just do it, and then you realize what you like and what you don't like. It's just like trying food. I always tell my kids, well, you won't know what you like it unless you try it, and if you don't like it anymore, you don't have to eat it anymore.
Yeah. How would you define courage?
Oh, courage is the opposite of fear. First and foremost, it's getting out of that comfort zone and then stepping out of that comfort zone and getting uncomfortable. Like I was just mentioning to you before, like courage takes like that next step, that next climb, that next level that you're ready to just try. And that's what courage is to me, is just doing your best. And if you fail, don't fail is not it's just feedback kind of, but it's also a learning opportunity. There's no such thing as failure to me. It's more like, okay, I see where I can maybe need a little bit of help, and that's where us coaches and you mentors and friends and family come in, who can help you and uplift you and guide you the right way.
Well, failure's so judgmental. We live in a judgmental society. It's hierarchical. How many likes do you have? How many followers? And all that sort of, forgive me, nonsense. But um, I I think that if we can stay away from being judgmental and just be present, and I always like to adopt what the Buddhists call the beginner's mind, where
Yeah,
learning is fun. It's something new. I think that if you can bring that to life at across your life, across all ages, oh my gosh, you will have an interesting life.
yeah, I love that, Pat. Yes, you will, because like I said, you never know what you're good at until you actually start doing it. Another example is, when I first got into my entrepreneurship, I mean, entrepreneur, what's that? Like, I didn't know what's that. All I knew is how to do massage, because I'm still a massage therapist. I've been a massage therapist since like 2006. So it's a long time, and that's all I knew. So I didn't know computers. All I had to do is check my email on my phone. That's it. So I had to like learn everything on my own. YouTube helps. If you're stuck on something, go to YouTube, or you can even Google it and then say how to do this. And then it'll pull up a video if you're a visual learner like myself, or if you want to just do a search, a random search, you can also find directions there. But I learned so much. And like I said, coaches helped me. I had a business coach. It was amazing, amazing. That helped me learn how to build my business. And I'm like, oh, this is great. So, like I said, some people in your life just come into your life and they help you, and they just guide you the right way. And it's just an amazing experience once you're learning all these things, and it's fun. Like, okay, I'm like, what's next? Should I learn the violin? Like, what should I be doing next? Like what's next? Like, you whatever you're passionate about, go for it. Like my son, he's off school now. He's next door. I'm glad he's not knocking on the door right now. But he's so passionate about the giant squid. And I said, well, tell me more about the giant squid. Like, let's do a report. Let's video doing this presentation. Draw some pictures. Whatever you're passionate about, just go for it. And so I encourage all my children to really focus on what they love. And then, like, we'll help you get the books, the mentors, the everything for it. So that way you're doing the best that you can in what you love doing.
If you could leave people with some advice, 3 pieces of life advice, what would you say?
Oh, give yourself love and compassion first and foremost. We're just talking about failure, and failure, we're always thinking, like you said, the social media, right? The most likes, the most followers. It's I think it's like not important. What's important, leave those things aside. What's important is giving yourself love and grace. Even if you mess up, that's okay. We all mess up. We're all human. We're all trying to do the best that we can with what we're given. And if we're given certain opportunities that we feel a little bit like, ooh, I don't know if I can do that. Just do it anyway, because this is the time. It's happening for a reason, and this is the time. And also, I always say, if you need help with anything, if you're struggling with sadness, if you're struggling with dependency when it comes to alcohol or narcotics, it's okay to ask for help. People think asking for help is a sign of weakness. It's truly a sign of strength. I feel like I was in my ego, and not in my spirit. I was in my ego and I didn't want to ask for help. So I always went ahead and said, okay, I can do this on my own. It wasn't the moment that I finally asked the universe for help, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, it's the same. I I was like, I got the help right away. I got the help right away. And then I had people in my life that had come and they helped me as well. And I still ask for help every day. Like, if I need help, I'm going to ask. I have no shame asking for help. And the third, I don't know if that was the third one, but just in case, the third piece of advice is just to be kind to others. One thing I always tell my clients is, if you're seeing somebody and then you like something about them, where they're wearing beautiful earrings, they have cool looking glasses on, they have a nice smile, they did something awesome, say something nice to them, compliment them. And that just alone makes somebody feel so good. Like, just compliment them. If it's in your head, say it out loud. But if it's something negative, best not to say it out loud. Just keep that one inside yourself.